Hello, my name's Glenn and I like to break my toys. Actually, I should probably quantify that. I'm very hard on my toys. When I was growing up as a young child, I eventually incinerated or crushed all of my Tonka toys, all my Matchbox toys. They all got destroyed by either fire or hacksaws or vices or whatever. And my father wisely said to my mother, "Don't worry about it, he will eventually run out of toys." And that I did, and my father wisely avoided me becoming a pyromaniac by telling me off for burning stuff. So anyway, as I grew older, my enthusiasm for getting the maximum out of my toys stood the test of time through radio controlled cars, mountain bikes, and eventually actual cars, which I tended to break with a fairly high degree of frequency, culminating in my current track day car, which I have broken over and over and over again, which leads me to the discussion about this car here. Now, you could argue that this is my toy, but I actually bought this from the widow of a guy that I never met, a guy by the name of Ken, and he put this car together before he passed away, and it ended up at his sister-in-law's house, and she was a friend of mine, and he approached me one day and said, "Hey, do you know anybody who would like to buy an XC with a 351? And I said, "Yeah, I would. It's me." So I looked at this car, and it was in a pretty sorry state, and this ended up being the reason I even started a YouTube channel, because I bought the car in September 2020, and then it sat in my garage and did nothing until January 2021, when I decided if I was going to get any motivation to build this car, I needed to document it so I could get everything done step by step. Because when I got this car, I think the radiator was leaking, there was a fair amount of scale in the motor. It had been sitting for an undisclosed period of time. I don't know how long ago Ken passed away, but it ended up sitting at his sister-in-law's house for a long time, from what I could gather. So when I looked at the car, it was running, it sounded great, but it wouldn't select any gears because the transmission fluid was very low. But I ended up buying it and dragging it home and fixing it up. But part of the deal for buying Ken's car was that it remained loyal to the image that Ken built it in, so same wheels, same colour, overall the same. And I said, that's fine, it's a pretty great base to start from, so I won't change too much of it. So what I'm getting at here is, this was never really my toy to do whatever I like with, because I had an understanding with the previous owner not to destroy it or change it too much. So I've honoured that, but as time's worn on, I've found myself looking at it and saying to myself, that air gap manifold would go nicely in my coupe. Well, that disc brake rear end with the limited slip diff would also go nicely into my coupe. So in the interest of not cannibalising this car for other projects, which was something the previous owner's widow did not want, it's time to sell this car. And if you're seeing this video, the car's sold, because I would prefer not to tell the world that I'm selling this car and have a whole bunch of well wishers and other people sticking their heads up so they can come have a look at the car. So behind the scenes, this car will have sold if you've seen this. So that is the plan. It's currently on Facebook Marketplace and it's generated quite a bit of interest. So hopefully this car sells and I'll be able to get the rest of my money together to finish this project off, because this project has a lot of work ahead of it. And like the station wagon, that's a project wholly of my own construction, so I will do with it as I see fit. The coupe and the wagon are basically my projects, whereas this car was a continuation of somebody else's project, so I really don't want to trash it by subjecting it to the kind of abuses I tend to subject my toys to. So it's been a very tough choice to make, but I listed it yesterday on Facebook Marketplace, and by the time I checked in the evening I'd had 14 inquiries, and 2 people rang me this morning asking if they could see it in person. So things are looking pretty promising. And my right arm's getting sore, so what I need to do now is get this under the house, take it for a drive sometime this week before. Alright, it's been 4 weeks since I posted the for sale ad on Facebook Marketplace for my XC sedan, and it is sold. The new owner came and picked it up last weekend, and I spent the rest of the weekend in a state of shell shock, having money in hand but no XC. Didn't get a lot done. So in summary, the Facebook ad got 4,400 hits, probably got about 40 or 50 inquiries, including all the is this available inquiries. I had 4 people come and look at the car in person, and I had 2 offers, one in the 20s which I politely declined, and the offer that got the car was basically the lowest I would take, and he said, "This is my budget, will that get this over the line?" And I said, in the interest of not doing this every weekend for weekends to come, yes it will. So that guy came and looked at the car after he made the offer on Marketplace, and then he said, yes, I'm satisfied with that, I'm very happy to stand by the offer that I've made. And he came down and picked the car up the following weekend after he looked at it. So things have been a bit disjointed lately because I've had to drop everything and drive my car to a public spot so various potential buyers could look at it. But fortunately I've only had to do that 4 times before a decent enough offer came along, and the car is now gone. So I should probably mention that once the car was on Facebook, the original owner's son reached out to me and said, "Car's looking good, I'd love to buy it off you, but unfortunately I don't have any money to take it off your hands, good luck with the sale." And since the XC sedan was somebody else's baby and that guy's since deceased, it was kind of like a custodial role. So when I showed the car to people, I basically wanted to go to another home with someone who was going to look after it, and the guy that bought it off me actually said, "This car is the same colour as my Pops' car that he used to drive us around in back when he was alive." And he tried to find his Pop's car because this guy lived out west, and he said he tracked down his Pop's old XC, and it was actually involved in a car accident and written off. So he said, "Well, I can't get that car, it's been totaled." And then he saw my car and he was like, "I love that colour," and that was enough for him to go, "Yep, I want that car." And he had a good story, and he's probably about 10 years younger than me at least, so it's gone to another good home, and so hopefully it's gone to a good home, and it will continue to be cherished and preserved, and I won't be tempted to steal the manifold off it, or the distributor, or the diff, all those other good things that are sitting in that car that could be deployed into my XB Hardtop. So that temptation has been removed. So it was sad to see it go, but it does mean I get to move forward with this project and probably tidy up some loose ends with the wagon that I've been neglecting because I just didn't have the space to get anything anywhere around the coupe while it's sitting here. So my Triton has reclaimed its parking space, and I should probably mention that while the Triton was playing up over summer, overheating and spewing coolant, it turns out that the radiator was probably blocked, because when I took it back to the mechanic and said, "Look, I've been driving this car for 4,000 kilometers now, when's it going to toss its cookies and blow up on me with a blown head gasket," or whatever was going on with it. and the mechanic's son said, "Oh no, the head gasket's not blown. I checked for carbon, what do they call it, hydrocarbons in the coolant, and it passed, so it's fine." So it's probably just a blocked radiator. So I had the radiator replaced in the Triton, and it's been fine ever since. So it's back under the house where it belongs, and now I'm back to one car too many, not two cars too many. So I look at the wagon, and I say to myself, drive the wagon around until you get the coupe registered, and then the wagon's days will be numbered, because I don't need to pay rego on two old school Ford V8s. So, in summary, I'm down to 2 Fords from 3. The XC, which was built by a guy called Ken, has been moved on to hopefully another good home and another reliable custodian. But it's out of my hands now, so the car is far, far to the west of me, and hopefully it doesn't get pranged or written off. The guy wasn't that concerned about the state of the paint, because a lot of people were put off by the chips and divots in the paint and the rust bubbles here and there, because it being such an old build. But this guy was unfazed. He said any old car is going to need a little bit of work, so he was happy to take it. So anyway, moving on, I have all kinds of goodies I need to put into this hardtop, but we'll pick up on that in the next episode, after I recover from the shock of having to sell one of my babies.